I'm looking forward to Sunday and watching football. I just realized that.
Yeah. No,
You don't get to do that very often.
It's always a fun day. I'll be planted on the couch in front of the TV from 1 till the end of the night game, 11:15.
Yeah.
Get a little workout in it before 1.
It's funny. People always ask me on a busy NFL Sunday, like, oh, did you see this game? Did you see it? No, I watched the game in front of me because I had to cover it.
Yeah, we miss a lot.
Yeah.
I enjoy the night games because we're not done work because we kind of keep writing up until like sun comes up. But I always enjoy most of the heavy lifting's done.
Yeah.
You kind of settle in and watch the night game. But Sunday will be fun. Some good games.
Looking forward to it. Monday will be fun too. Eagles, Vikings. We're going to break it all down. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We do have a lot to get to. We're going to talk about the Vikings in a little bit, some of the matchups that offer some problems for the Eagles. But let's start with the Eagles first and some things they have to clean up. First things first, Rube. We knew that Nick Sirianni was going to defend Jonathan Gannon. He did. But there are things this defense needs to fix, and they need to fix them fast.
Yeah, and I think the biggest concern is there are things from last year that are showing up again with all these new players who are supposed to solve all these issues. Now, it's one game, so you don't want to get too carried away, but they didn't pressure Jared Goff, and they got 6 sacks on him last year, and I don't want to hear about how quickly he gets rid of the ball. He's a sitting duck back there.
Well, he did get rid of the ball quick, and I'll get to it in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, but still, I mean, look, the only way they got pressure on Sunday was blitzing, and it's good to see Jonathan Gannon blitzing, which he didn't really do much of last year. But
didn't do much of it in this game either.
What's that?
Didn't do much of it in this game either.
But I mean, you don't need to do a lot, and especially when you build a lead, it's not something you want to do. But man, they got to generate pressure from their defensive front, and that includes Reddick, who's technically a linebacker, but I mean, when you talk about pass rush, you're talking about Sweat and BG and Reddick, and Barnett's done. He's out for the year with an ACL. But even Fletcher, I mean, he's a guy who traditionally has gotten pass pressure.
Hargrave is a big part of it,
and Hargrave as well. And BG had a couple of pressures, Sweat had a couple of pressures, but the sum total of that group was really disappointing. So tackling was an issue. I thought they actually tackled well last year. I don't think that was really a problem. And the lack of turnovers. And Bradbury had the 1 pick 6, which that's great, but 1 turnover, 1 sack. And the 1 sack was on an aborted play where Ragnow and Goff missed on the center quarterback exchange, and ball sat there, and because Goff picked it up and was looking to throw, it's still a sack. So that's how the stat works there. But it was a broken play, and Fletch got in there, and that good for him. But it was a play that never had a chance. The point being, they got to do a lot better when it comes to pass pressure. And Kirk Cousins is a guy who gets rid of the ball quick as well. A lot of quarterbacks get rid of the ball fast, and a lot of teams get sacks on those quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem here is it can't be an excuse to say the quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly if the reason he's getting rid of the ball quickly is because he's worried about the pass rush and he sees that your corners are 15 yards away from the receivers. Like if you give a quarterback that out, he's going to take it. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way to say the quarterback got rid of the ball quickly. Well, yeah, because
there's a guy open.
You kind of dictated that.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. And again, it's not just sacks. I mean, it's making the quarterback feel uncomfortable and just making his life miserable. And that just didn't happen. And, Reddick, I talked to Hassan Reddick, and it was not the debut he wanted. It was a disappointing game for him. Pro Football Focus had him 127th out of 129 rushers for what that's worth. And everything on that site you take for what it's worth. But, he just wasn't very good. And, he acknowledged that. He said, I got to be a lot better, but it's not time to panic. It's just one game. And I didn't play up to my standard. I have a very high standard. And I want to leave every game, he said, knowing that I did something to help us win. And I didn't do that Sunday. So,
yeah, I thought he had one nice play on the tackle for
on a
loss.
run play.
Yeah.
On their other back, which they played him too much.
Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
What was he, 11 for 26? The other guy was like 15 for 144, Swift.
Yeah, but he had a big carry, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, I got those tweets. He's a good back, Swift, Philly kid.
Jamal Williams is pretty good though. Been around the league for a while.
Yeah, he has. Swift is what? St. Joe's Prep or Germantown?
I think St. Joe's.
St. Joe's.
If I'm wrong, please don't tell me. I don't care.
Don't tell me. They'll tell us. I'm going to look it up because I brought it up. But yeah, so as far as pass pressure goes, Reddick, yeah, St. Joe's Prep, Reddick has to show up. He get any pressures.
Yeah, I do think it is tied into the plan in coverage. You know what I mean? Like I think that those things are so tied together. And it kind of just goes back to the passive style of this defense, and it's why people get frustrated by it. And I'm not saying everything has to be a zero blitz. Like, you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to overload, and you don't have to be Jim Johnson. You don't have the personnel for that. You don't want to be that, I don't think, in this NFL. But you gotta be a little more aggressive at times.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the plan was fine for 2.5 quarters. And I thought they were gassed.
They really banked on the Lions abandoning their game plan.
Big time.
It's like, I get why you would think that, but you have to kind of notice, well, that's not happening. They're still running the football. They were slow to realize it.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're running the football and it's working. And this whole Gannon style where it's a bend but don't break, you need big plays or it doesn't work.
Exactly.
You need to get off the field on third downs and you need to force turnovers. And if you're not doing those two things, then you see what happens. It's just, now these guys are going on long drives again. So your defense is getting gassed and they're still giving up points at the end of the drive. So not saying you completely flip it and say, well, if they're going to score, you let them score quickly. That's not what I'm saying. But this whole style of defense is predicated on getting off the field on third down, getting turnovers, and it can be frustrating to watch when they're not doing those things.
Yeah, sure can. And I thought that bringing in this kind of talent would result in more turnovers, force fumble here and there.
And it might.
And it still might. It's one game, again. But when you see the same problems from last year popping up, that's concerning.
I agree. And I think that's –
But it's not – and it's Gannon, but it's also the players. I think it's a mistake to let either one of them off the hook.
I agree with you. And look, I for the most part, I feel like I've kind of defended Gannon against a lot of it in his time here. I thought it was week one was a little bit of an eye opener for me as it pertains to him, because I thought, well, I allowed last year, maybe the players aren't in place.
Sure.
Players should be there now. And I know that there are a lot of new players. They have to figure out how this is all going to work. And maybe by week 5, we're saying this defense is great. What were we ever talking about after week 1 and a game they won? We were crazy. And that it could very well happen. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happens. But the style of defense, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if Slay catches that interception down at the goal line, it's a whole different game. I mean, they were up, I think it was 20. They were up 14 at that point. Yeah. But so just one play like that, but you don't get those opportunities too often. You have to take advantage of them if you're going to play that kind of style. Mm-hmm. You can't blow those opportunities. Yeah,
and the tackles are the easiest thing to point out. We talked about this in the last pod. You look at 15 missed tackles, and some of them pretty egregious, even though, look, some of them are tough angles. They're coming from pretty far because you're deep in coverage, but you still have to make the play. No excuses there.
They had the worst, again, PFF. I have my new account, so I'm getting a little carried away here. But
did you get an account?
Got an account.
Good, you'll stop bothering me.
Stop bothering you. Eagles were the worst tackling team in the league. And, and Reddick was like, well, it's week 1. Every team missed tackles. Well, they didn't all miss 15 tackles. Yeah. That's inexcusable. And I really believe they were gassed at the end of the game. I don't care what anyone says. They just, when you start arm tackling, and they were doing some of that early. I think the 50-yard run, the second play of the season, is a team that's not prepared. It's just a team that's not ready. Just not ready to play football. On either side, they weren't.
That was really the Bradbury. I mean, Bradbury's got a tough angle there, but you got to make that tackle.
Yeah. Slay actually did a nice job to catch up to him and get him down. But, there was a lot to be concerned about. You got a pretty high-octane offense coming in here.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I did want to mention this is our first podcast since Janoris Robinson has signed from the Vikings practice squad to the Eagles active roster. Interesting. It was funny. As soon as that happened, you asked me about, like, is that even legal? And I didn't have a chance to look it up until later in the day. Yeah, it's legal because the Eagles play on Monday Night Football. You have to have 6 days in between when you play the next opponent and when you can sign one of their practice squad players. So the fact that the Eagles played on Monday night allowed them to sign Robinson.
Yeah, so if the Eagles played Sunday, they would not have been able to sign him off the Vikings practice
Not
squad.
this week, at least.
Not this week. So that's.
But look, I also don't think they signed him just to get intel.
No, I think that's really overrated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll ask him.
I'm sure they'll ask him, but you know, the Vikings also know that he's here.
Yeah,
it's easy to change signals and all that stuff. So I'm not. But I think what's important is that, you know, I mean, he was a 4th round pick.
4th round pick. I really liked him out of Florida State. He was at the Senior Bowl last year. There's something there. He's huge. He's 6'5".
260.
They list him at 260. I think he's tipping that a little bit. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Physically imposing, kind of more known as like a run stuffer at Florida State. But
they could use that too, by the way.
You're right. But I also think he has some pass rush ability. A little raw.
Yeah.
Pass rusher, but he has the physical tools to be really good. I think they might have gotten something there.
It's interesting, since the season began, or since final cuts, they've added Ian Book, who's a 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Sermon was a 3.
3.
It's pretty high
overall.
3, I think, right? 88.
And Book and Robinson were taking consecutive picks.
Yeah, so they've added 2 4s and a 3, which for nothing, really, just for a minimum wage base salary. So,
yeah, and they're excited about it. There's also a reason those guys didn't make their teams.
Out of those 3, who do you think's more likely or most likely to help this team?
Robinson.
Probably.
It'll take longer because he's just got here. I think there's more of a need there. Quarterback is not going to happen unless they trade Minshew at the deadline. Running back, I mean, I think they feel pretty good. I mean, that's a possibility just because Sermon is a tough runner, and
running backs get hurt.
Sermon's a tough runner. They could probably use that style. But I'd go Robinson.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, we'll see, because he's probably going to be inactive.
I would think
this week. He just got here. Teron Jackson's the guy to watch in this game. 2nd-year player, 6th round pick last year. Had a really good training camp, and he's probably going to get bumped up and maybe not take every snap that Barnett got in that game, but probably fill that role.
He'll probably get 20 snaps.
Yeah,
I would think. Speaking of running backs, I have a stat at the end of the pod. I'm going to give you a running back stat. So just
a teaser!
Just remind me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to keep everybody tuned in, I'm sure.
People are like driving home and they're like, I'm going to sit in the car. And
I used to do that before Shazam. Like before Shazam existed. Like
wait to hear that.
You hear a song on the radio, and like the stations I listen to don't, like, they'll play like 11 songs in a row without identity, like college stations or whatever. And you would just sit in the car, like you get home from the store and like you hear this great song, and you can either call the station up. Like I remember doing that at Lehigh in the pouring rain outside Rauch Fieldhouse. Heard a song from the Lehigh radio station. Had no idea what it was, and I just call them. And I got the DJ. He's like, yeah, that was whoever.
That's cool.
I don't remember what the song was, but anyway, yeah, you would sit in your car. But anyway, and then hope that they said it, because some of these guys are so, like, some of these college DJs are so stoned, like that was I don't know what that was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was cool though. Anyway, what were we talking about? My stat. All right, yeah.
Robinson and
Teron Jackson.
Jackson.
How do we get from?
You just announced he had a stat.
Right. So
out of the blue.
What do you expect from Teron Jackson? 2nd year.
I'll tell you what he flashed in camp, and also Patrick Johnson, I think, is going to get some extra run on defense too as an edge rusher.
If your name is Johnson, you got a shot to play.
Yeah. Well, Kyron probably won't see much.
He probably won't
on defense, but I think Patrick Johnson and Teron Jackson are probably the two that will benefit most from Barnett not being there.
Yeah, and I mean the coaches love Barnett, but I mean, like, you don't see anyone get hurt, and you feel bad for the guy opening day.
Yeah,
he's got 21 sacks in his career. So since 17 as a 14th pick in the draft. So it's not like you're losing. Maybe
I feel like we spin in circles in this Barnett thing.
I mean, he plays hard.
It's almost not even worth saying it's a 14th overall pick at this point.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Right?
Fine.
It's a different contract.
He was still a 14th pick.
Yeah, but like that has no bearing on his current contract or status.
It has a bearing on his career production. 21 and a half sacks.
It has no bearing on his production. It has a bearing on how you view his production.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, I shortened it.
Yeah, but he's not here he's here as a backup player.
Can we please talk about DeVonta Smith?
Yes. He didn't have a catch.
And I don't really have a huge problem with that. You like to be balanced, but I think it's more important. If somebody's got the hot hand, which somebody obviously did Sunday,
it worked.
Keep feeding them. And it worked. And balance is great if you're writing a story about how balanced the offense is. But I'd rather have a superstar catch 155 yards, 10 catches on 13 targets than have 3 guys with 50 yards.
I mean, I don't think it matters which of those things happens as long as it works.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like whatever's working, just go with it.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it. And he'll have his day. There'll be a game, I guarantee it, where DeVonta has 100 yards and AJ Brown has 22. But it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and DeVonta's, I mean, I'm sure it bothers him. I'm sure he's not happy about it.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this on a previous pod. Like if they're winning, it kind of quells a lot of that.
Yeah. And
now, if they start losing, and
whole different story.
Yeah, then it changes.
What was his? You had a couple minutes with DeVonta?
Yeah, he said what you'd expect. I mean, he's such a polished guy on the field and off the field.
Right.
He controlled what he can control, and kind of was what it was. He'll stay ready. I asked him if it was hard to have that mindset, and he looked at me and went, "No." Okay. That was my fault for asking a yes or no question, but I think he's sincere in that. I don't think that's put on. I think that's the way he feels about it. And look, if it's week 5 and he still doesn't have a catch, then I think everyone's tune changes on it. But we're not there.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
But you think get him an early, easy?
I think they will.
Catch?
I think that's like emotional intelligence, right? Yeah. Of the coach. It's just get him involved and know that he's a part of the offense. But keep throwing AJ Brown too. I mean, until they take him away, force them to take him away. Now, once you force them to take him away, then you have options because now the coverage is rolling one way, and you're going to have DeVonta in an ideal setup, or you're going to have Quez, you're going to have Dallas. So, by all means, push AJ to the brink and force their hand to either double him or shade coverage or change however they're playing defense, and then it's going to open up the rest of the team.
I feel like we've talked so much about the defense since Sunday. This is our 3rd podcast since the game. I mean, I think this offense has a chance to be really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way they ran the ball. I mean, it's really unusual to have 200 yards rushing and passing in the same game, and do both of them efficiently. And it was.
Yeah. I mean, so much of that is Jalen. It's just when you have a quarterback who runs for 90 yards, it's going to change the dynamic of the offense.
Yeah, one of 3 quarterbacks in the league to have 300 yards combined rushing and passing without a turnover.
Okay, and he's very good at that.
He's been great at not ball security. It was a real issue for him early on.
Some of those were.
I mean, he was getting sacked and just.
Yeah, no, he was. It wasn't great, but I remember some of them were like bad snaps and little fluky ones in there.
But I mean, he's now up to 13th best interception ratio in history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are some people who say, well, he doesn't take chances. He'll take some chances. I mean, he doesn't take chances like the gunslinger quarterbacks. He doesn't take chances like the previous quarterback takes some chances. But that's okay. There's still some tough, tight window throws. He had that one on the slant. He had the one to AJ, obviously down the sideline, but the other one to AJ where he was kind of throwing off balance across his body to the same side of the field. So there were some high difficulty throws in that.
Absolutely.
Game.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's smart not to throw into traffic. It's not like, it's not like you want to keep doing it just to say, you're some brave gunslinger here.
My favorite thing was Jake Plummer ended his career with the same amount of touchdown throws and interceptions.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense.
I have a great Jake Plummer story. He made his NFL debut against the Eagles.
Okay.
And
now you got to tell it, I guess.
All right. So the Cards got the ball on the 1 yard line, and they benched whoever it was. I don't know if it was Neil Lomax. I don't remember who it was who had to start. Stan Gelbaugh, maybe. I could look it up, but I don't feel like it. Yeah. And I said to the guy next to me in the press box, so there used to be newspapers and there used to be honor boxes. Remember honor boxes? They were the boxes that you would go to the corner and put in 50 cents and you take out a newspaper.
Yeah.
So the Philadelphia Inquirer and Daily News honor boxes had ads. They had cardboard ads at the bottom of the honor box where they would promote different writers from the paper, including one that I'm not going to say their name, but one we didn't really like.
Coward.
I'm not going to say the name. If you guess it, I will tell if you're right or wrong. But
Me?
anyway, but no. So it was somebody who worked for the Inquirer or Daily News. So they're on the 1 yard line. Jake Plummer comes to the game. He's never played in the NFL. And I said, if he drives them for a touchdown, I'll put that person's, I'll take their promo ad from an honor box and put it above my bed for 1 year. They go 99 yards and score. I had to go steal one of those cardboard things off an honor box and tape that over my bed.
I don't know what the statute of limitations is on that, but you might have just incriminated yourself.
Not only are there no honor boxes anymore, there's no newspapers anymore.
That's not true.
Sadly. Are there honor boxes anywhere?
Probably.
When I first moved to Philly, I got out of college. My parents lived in Mount Airy, and on the corner of their block, it was East Gowan and Germantown Avenue. This is 82. There was 5 honor boxes, and I would just go over there every morning and get the Bulletin, the Journal, the Daily News, the Inquirer, and I think it was the New York Times. And you would just have 4 and those papers, man, they were the sports sections in those papers were incredible. And I would just sit on a porch and read every one of them from back to front.
I loved it before this podcast. You're like, we got to do this quick. We have TV to do. And you're like, I've got a great Jake Plummer story.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store and NissanUSA.com today.
Talk to the 2 Georgia guys a little bit today.
Ben Smith,
Jordan Davis, and Nakobe Dean. Very different roles, obviously, right now. Jordan Davis admitted that he had to kind of prove to himself that he was able to play at this level, which just sounds so silly. He was, a centerpiece of a great college defense, first-round pick, but he said he always, that's something he battles is, dealing with self-confidence issues and understanding that he can play at this level. He said he proved that to himself in week 1, which is important.
Yeah. And, some of these guys are just so big and powerful and strong. You forget they have the same human frailties that we have.
But it was good. And he said he feels like
never used the word frailties on the podcast.
He said he feels like he's in good enough condition to play more snaps. So
what do you think is a good number after seeing him Sunday? He played 22?
22. Low 30s.
Yeah. I'd like to see him get to 32, 33.
Yeah. We talked about that so much. I think he can play more.
Yeah. How about Nakobe? What was his mindset?
Yeah, it was interesting. No one has really talked about him for a while, so I met him at his locker today, and I was, he's an impressive young guy, not sulking at all, just trying to do everything he can to be ready if he ever gets a chance to really play.
If he ever, he
better ever. Yeah. But, if the guys in front of him play well, it's going to be a long year for him probably. They didn't play all that well, and I think Kaiser played well.
Yeah.
TJ didn't, but TJ probably gets the longer leash as the green dot.
Yeah.
We'll see. And I'm also curious to see if at some point they find ways to mix Nakobe in. They put him in on the goal line. He spelled Kaiser for a snap. He got 1 more snap, 3 snaps total on defense. I talked to him about special teams, though. He said his time at Georgia really prepared him because Kirby Smart makes his stars play on special teams, which is not common, right?
Yeah.
Normally, if you're a star college football player, you're not playing special teams, whereas they did at Georgia, and it really has given Nakobe a leg up here.
That's interesting. I never knew that. Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate kid who's going to be like, whatever I can do to help the team. But I'm sure he wants to play. Look, TJ and Kaiser are not signed past this year. I would think Nakobe's going to have I think he'd be a starter next year, one way or the other.
You would think.
But I would like to see him get some more snaps on defense. Maybe he'll work up to that point. But yeah, he came in it was such a ballyhooed pick, and we thought he'd go in the first round. We thought we'd go in the second round, and now he's not playing.
Yeah, I mean, people were like, he's either the first or second best linebacker in this draft, or maybe third at worst. Not playing right now.
Can't be any worse than what we saw Sunday. I mean, I guess he could be. But I'd like to see him get at least 10, 12 snaps.
It would be nice. The tough thing is,
who do you take off the field?
Take him off the field.
Yeah.
But he's an impressive young guy. It was really funny after, because I've talked to him a few times throughout the summer. I did that big feature on him. And he didn't remember my name, which is fine. So we asked my name again. I said, I'm Dave, I work for MC Sports. He pointed up to his name, like, I'm Nakobe. I was like, yeah, I know. I had to know who you were to do this.
Yeah.
So, but I'm impressed by his maturity.
Julius Erving did that with me. I had to interview him. It's just in the locker room, and I just went up to him and introduced myself. He said, I'm Julius. I know who you are.
Biggest hands. I remember shaking Julius Erving's hand, and it wrapped twice around my hand.
Really?
Yeah. Big dude.
Where'd you meet him?
Gosh, it was something. I think it was the day they knocked the Spectrum down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I covered that.
Really? Did you see my wallet? I left my wallet.
They didn't let me in
the Spectrum.
It was really funny. There was they didn't blow it up. I guess they couldn't. I don't know why they couldn't, but they couldn't blow it up. They had one of those giant balls, demolition balls.
That, yeah.
And there were people out there to watch it.
Because you could get people in it.
No, but there were people you could go and watch it because it wasn't an explosion. So
yeah.
There were fans who showed up to watch the Spectrum get taken down. And the ball bounced off the Spectrum wall the first time and didn't do any damage. And people started booing.
Really?
Yeah, that was my lead in my story.
They booed the wrecking ball?
Yeah, that was good.
What was the final concert at the Spectrum? I'll give you a hint if you don't know.
Yeah.
They played in this area yesterday.
Pearl Jam, yeah. I thought there was a chance it was Pearl Jam.
Yeah, it was Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And they referenced that. And apparently during their set, they talked about, we're not at the Spectrum anymore. And then they said, we're not at J.C. Dobbs anymore, which Dobbs is the first place they played in Philly for 100 people.
My first concert was at this. Well, my first concert as a viewer was at the Spectrum.
Oh, who's that?
Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How were they?
Great. I was 10.
Really?
My sister took me.
Okay.
Yeah, my first concert. The band Wheatus opened up.
Who is it?
Wheatus?
Don't know.
Know the song Teenage Dirtbag?
No.
Oh, you would probably know that if you heard it. They opened.
Don't want to hear it.
Yeah. It wasn't great. Bare Naked Ladies were great, though.
My first concert was Yes.
Really?
Madison Square
It's a
Garden.
good first concert.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. We didn't know about encores, though. I didn't know it was a thing. So they finished and everyone's cheering. I was like, oh, that was great. I can't believe they didn't play Roundabout. We just left. And the next day I'm in school. This is a true story. I was 13.
They didn't play their biggest song. It was really weird.
Play Roundabout, but it was great. They played most of Fragile and they played most of Close to the Edge. And so we're on the bus. We take the bus back and in school the next day. I'm like, oh man, Roundabout was so cool. They didn't play Roundabout. Yeah, it was the encore, dude. Missed it.
That's true. The encores now are so funny because everyone comes back. And it's why do we go through this? Yeah. This is a really funny charade to play.
A lot of bands don't do them anymore. A lot of bands say, look, we're not doing an encore. We're just going to add those songs to the end of our set. So
I'd kind of prefer that.
Yeah.
It's they go hide for a while and then come back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's things you can do. If you've been on stage 2 hours, you might.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Can we?
Vikings?
Vikings are good.
Well, let's go through a little bit.
All right,
real quick. What scares you most about them?
Jefferson. I mean,
it's a good place to start.
Justin Jefferson, but Kirk Cousins knows how to get him the ball. And it's
that offense.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing so. I went back and watched that game. They're moving him all over the field. They're scheming him up. He's good enough to get open on his own, but they're scheming him up.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's going to take everyone.
And I'll tell you what, if they tackle like that, I mean, Dalvin Cook will kill you too.
And Madison too.
Yeah.
Who's a bigger back. He'll break some tackles.
And don't forget about Thielen.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to make that joke again.
Oh, the other guy. He didn't play on offense, did he?
I don't know. I know he did punts, but and look, they held Aaron Rodgers to 7 points. So
yeah, that defense, the two edge guys are tough, Smith and Hunter.
Yeah.
I was talking to Jordan Mailata a little bit about Smith. He's looking forward to playing him because he saw him in Green Bay a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And Jordan was like, I wasn't good then. Or I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, he saw me when I didn't really know what I was doing. So he's looking forward to that litmus test again.
Yeah.
And Hunter on the other side is a monster too. They'll flip at times, but
and they have Jordan Hicks who
in the middle. Hicks and Kendricks in the middle.
Yeah, the other Kendricks.
Kendricks is good.
He is.
This Kendricks.
Yeah, the other one was good.
This one's better.
He won a Super Bowl with the other Kendricks.
This one's better.
This one's better.
And Harrison Smith is still back there.
Yeah, he's an
plays.
older guy now, but yeah, he can still play. They have a former Eagle in their secondary.
Yeah, Shannon Sullivan, he's their nickel.
And they have a former Eagle defensive back on their practice squad.
Oh, that I don't know.
Ty Gowan.
Oh, Tay, yeah, he just signed there after the Eagles cut him.
Ty Gowan. So, yeah. Shannon Sullivan has had a really nice career.
Carved out a nice career. He was in Green Bay for a while.
Green Bay with Rasul.
Yeah, now he's the nickel.
He's their nickel.
Which and they have Peterson on one side, Dancer on the other. I wonder if one of those, like Peterson's kind of older. I wonder if he would get hurt if Shannon would play outside.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Shannon in his fifth.
Actually, no, they have Andrew Booth. Never mind.
Undrafted out of Georgia State.
Yeah.
A lot of former Eagle defensive backs around the league.
Yeah.
A lot of them. We saw Sydney the other day, Rasul, Shannon Sullivan.
Eric Rowe in the preseason.
Eric Rowe still at it. Yeah. All right.
Is that good? Your running back stat.
My running back.
People are in their driveways like, if you don't get to this stat, man.
All right, this is really cool. Over the last 2 years, since opening day of last year, only two running backs with fewer than 110 touches have more than 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
Boston Scott has 8 and Kenny Gainwell has 7, and no one else has more than 4.
Wow.
That's great production out of both those guys. They both have a real nose for the end zone.
Yeah. That's good. That is a good stat.
Yeah.
All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. That's it. We'll have a pod for you early Tuesday morning. Hopefully it'll be there when you drive to work. We appreciate everyone's support. That's all we've got today.
If you stay up really late, it'll be there.
Yeah, don't do that, though. Just wake up in the morning.
Do that.
Do whatever you want. How about that? All right. For Reuben, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.